You can put extra money into super, and over the course of 10, 20, 30 years, every $1,000 that you put in is going to multiply.
Hi, I'm Julie-Anne Sprague, Wealth Editor for The Australian, and in this Masterclass series, we're going to unpack what you need to know about your superannuation, specifically how to maximise it, how to juice it up beyond the statutory requirements from your employer. What can you do? There are some tricks, there are some tips, there are things you can do. Joining me from the Wealth team is Anthony Keane. Anthony, what do people need to know about superannuation?
Well, firstly, if you want to beef up your super, there are a heck of a lot of ways that can be done now. It all requires you to put a bit of extra money in there though, so that's number one.
So I think there's a lot of people who think this, your superannuation is building, as I mentioned. So there's a 12% rate now that your employer is paying into your super account.
Yes.
And it ticks over and your super gets invested. But is your point you can do an awful lot more with superannuation?
You can do, and there are a lot of incentives out there that help people put more money into super. For example, if you're on a lower sort of middle income, you can put $1,000 of your own money into super. The government is going to put $500 of its money into your super for you. So that's a 50% investment return on that $1,000 in 1 year. There's some catches there, so you're sort of at you've got to be earning less than sort of 60 to get some benefit, and less than around sort of $48,000 a year to get the full 500 co-contribution. But that's just one of the options. We get tax deductions for putting extra personal contributions into our superannuation up to an annual limit of $30,000. So.
And how does that work when you say a tax deduction?
Yeah. Okay, that's called the concessional contribution cap. That $30,000 a year now, that includes money that your employer's putting in there. So if you're on a good wage, those super contributions that your employer pays goes towards that cap. But anything between that and $30,000, you can actually got that to play with. So you can put extra money into super, and over the course of 10, 20, 30 years, every $1,000 that you put in is going to multiply. In that low tax super environment where the maximum tax is 15%, then when you do hit retirement and you roll that super over into a pension, you are paying zero tax on the income from it and the capital gains.
So does it make sense then to try and use, if you can afford it, try and get that $30,000 contribution in annually? Yeah, that's a lot of money.
It makes sense, but to be honest, a lot of people are busy with mortgages and school fees and children and everything. So getting up to the 30 if you can, but even, as I said, even 1,000, 2,000, that's going to multiply because of the power of compound interest over decades.
So 30,000 is probably unrealistic for someone like me, but if it was $1,000, if you just put that into your superannuation account, what could the difference be? Get your crystal ball out and tell me how markets are going.
I will say,
but
and you can work this out online easily. There's compound interest calculators on financial websites. ASIC's moneysmart.gov.au website has got compound interest calculators. You can put in $1,000 a year, recurring for 20 years, and you can see how that's going to grow if you punch in 6% or something, what historical super fund returns have been. It's just giving yourself that extra nest egg, extra tax-free nest egg later in life.
Now, what about the saying that you should pay your mortgage off first before you worry about anything else?
That also happens with investment as well. People have this mindset: I'll pay my mortgage off, and then I'll look at super, then I'll look at investing in property. Or shares and those sorts of things, but you're missing that opportunity of booms in both share and property markets and superannuation. Superannuation is just a reflection of share and property markets. More than 50% of it's sitting in share markets in Australia and overseas, bit in property, bit in infrastructure, bit of cash, bit of bonds, bit of everything. So super is just that. So yep, doing nothing until your mortgage is paid off is not going to grow your wealth.
What about if you don't have the benefit of as much time anymore? Wouldn't it have been great in your 20s to go, oh, I'm just going to chuck extra into my super account, but you didn't, and you're hitting a stage of life, you think, I need to focus on this, I want to retire well. Is it never too late, or what can you do if you're
I,
sort of
I
a bit
would
further on
say
the journey?
it's never too late to put some in. And there are a lot of strategies that financial planners work with older clients, pre-retirees, because often, and some advisors have told me, in your 20s and 30s, you don't want to be smashing your super fund and putting a lot in because you've got too many other priorities. But as you do get your 40s and 50s, if you've had an investment property for years and that's done well, you can effectively sell that, put the proceeds into super, get a tax deduction for a chunk of that as well. That's a strategy that a lot of people are using. We mentioned the concessional contribution caps of $30,000 a year. There's also another cap called a non-concessional contribution cap. That's $120,000 a year per person that you can put into your super.
Can you just explain the difference between a concessional and a non-concessional?
Concessional, you get the tax deduction for. So you put in $1,000 and you get a deduction for it. Non-concessional is not. It's not tax deductible. It's like you get given $10,000 as an inheritance and you're going to whack that into super. That's non-concessional. So no tax deduction going in, but it still goes into super. But also,
there is a good tax treatment on the other side.
That's exactly right. As I said earlier, 15% sort of tax on super earnings while you're saving, and then when you do roll it over in retirement, it's zero tax on earnings and capital gains.
Is there anything anyone needs to know that they should be doing with their super before they're retiring, before you sort of transition?
I think advice is really important with this, and there's rules in sort of on the way to broaden that advice. Super funds, the government's been working with super funds to get to provide more advice to more people because it's so complex and they change the rules every year. Every year I've been writing about this, there's been super rule changes. So get advice. Don't think that you've got to wait until your mortgage is paid off though, because you can those incentives can actually help you. Getting extra tax deductions, getting money in, co-contributions. There's something called a spouse contribution where if your spouse is on low income, you can get a not handy tax offset doing that. So yeah, just learn about the incentives because they are there to help and they help build nest eggs.
And we will have a guide about all of the different things within superannuation that you can do at theaustralian.com.au. Thanks, Anthony.
Thanks.